Welcome back, everybody, and this is Brother Jacob, and this is the False Prophet channel where we get Islam busted and the false prophet of Islam busted, Muhammad, on a regular basis. As promised, this is part 2 in the series, Proof that the Quran is not the eternal speech of Allah as Muslims claim. In part 1, we've read the following hadith that you see before you and is classed as Sahih. So in part 2, we will be breaking down even more problems that this particular hadith brings to Islam. Okay? Now let's read it. Imam Ahmad narrated from Abdullah ibn, let's skip over all of that. Let's get to the juicy parts. Right here. Fasting and the Quran will intercede for a person on the day of resurrection. Fasting will say, "O Lord, I kept him from his food and desires during the day. Let me intercede for him." And the Quran will say, "I kept him from sleeping during the night. Let me intercede for him," and they will be allowed to intercede. Okay, we have discovered even more problems in the narrative that the Quran is the eternal speech of Allah in conjunction with this hadith presented before you now. Okay? Now, as you see, it says that the Quran will intercede for a person on the day of resurrection. Key word I want you to focus on is person. Okay? Fasting and the Quran will intercede for a person on the day of resurrection. Now, it's a problem with this because there is a hadith, and let's go to that hadith real quick. Let me show you something real quick. Let's read. It was narrated from Ibn Buraida that his father told that the messenger of Allah said, "The Quran will come on the day of resurrection like a pale man and will say, I am the one that kept you awake at night and made you thirsty during the day." So this hadith corroborates with the other hadith. And I'm showing you this for a reason. Because as you see, it says the Quran. And the Quran, Muslims say is what? They say it is the eternal speech of Allah. And not only do they say it's the eternal speech of Allah, they say that the Quran is the infinite knowledge, the uncreated, I gotta add uncreated, the uncreated, infinite knowledge and speech of Allah. So notice it says it will come like a pale man. Keyword man. M-A-N. Okay, now let's go back to the previous hadith. because I'm about to connect the dots. Now, let's read. Fasting in the Quran will intercede for a person. But hold up, Abduls, hold up. We just read that it will come like a pale man. So we have another problem. We have two problems, but let me highlight the first problem. If it's coming like a pale man, and at the same time, it is the eternal speech of Allah in the form of a man, that means this speech, this transfigurated Quran in the form of a man, it will mean that a person will be interceding for another person. That's very damaging. Because what do Muslims always tell us about Jesus? They say, how can Jesus forgive sins? How can a man be the mediator between man and God? How can a man intercede for God? Is not that what the Muslims say? But here in this very hadith, in conjunction with the hadith that we showed you, which says that the Quran will come in the form of a pale man, it's saying the very thing that Muslims always criticize when it comes to Christianity. They always criticize Jesus being a redeemer in the form of a man. But here you have inside of their religion, inside of their codex, inside of their religious codex, you have the very same thing, almost identical. So how can the Muslims have the audacity to try to even criticize Christianity? They don't have a leg to stand upon. Now I'm about to drop the real bomb. Hold on to your seatbelts. What is the one thing that Muslims always brag about when it comes to Allah? That one thing is this. Muslims always say that Allah is unchanging. He cannot change. And his divine attributes are unchanging. And that his attributes are a part of his essence. Though they say his attributes are separate from him, but they still say his attributes are a part of his very essence. That's what they say. That's what all of the scholars say. So with that being the case, we have another problem that we must highlight. Notice again what it says. The Quran will intercede for a person. Now, let's show you the damage. Again, the Quran will come on the day of resurrection like a pale man. But what do the Muslims say? They say that the attributes and the word of Allah and all of that good stuff is unchanging. But what did it do? It took the form of a pale man. Boom, Muslims. That totally destroys everything that they be saying. What do they always say to us Christians? They say, God cannot change. So how did God come in the form of Jesus? And we tell them that And we explain it to them that Jesus changing does not mean that just because he came in the form of Jesus, that does not mean God changed. When we say changing, we mean his divine essence of who he is did not change. But they say, no. He came in the form of Jesus, so he changed. That's what they'll still tell us. But here, in their very own sources, it says that the Quran, the attribute of Allah, will change and it will come like a pale man. That's what it says. But Muslims, we are not done. We are just getting started. We are just getting started. Since that's the case, it causes a lot of problems. Because Muslims say that the Quran is the infinite, not only is it the speech of Allah, it is also his infinite wisdom. So with that being the case, how many of you are aware of those 3 words in the Quran that Muslims say only Allah knows the answer to? Those words, Alim, I would look it up real quick. Alim, Meen, and Lam. I believe that's it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But I believe it's Alim, Meen, and Lam. Alim, Lam, and Meen. They say only Allah knows the meaning of those 3 letters. But no longer can they say that. You know why? Because after reading this hadith and putting 1 and 2 together in conjunction with the hadith that we just read about the Quran and how it will come in the form of a pale man, this means that the Muslims, they got to reconstitute everything that they've been saying about only Allah knowing the meaning of those 3 letters. Because now, if the Quran is the infinite wisdom of Allah, and if it's supposed to come in the form of a pale man, and as you see, it will take on its own identity, because look, it refers, like we told you in part 1, it refers to itself as me when it was speaking to Allah. So it referred to itself as me, meaning it's its own identity. It's not Allah because it's saying me. Let's read it. Fasting will say, "O Lord, I kept him from his food and desires during the day. Let me intercede for him." And the Quran will say, "I kept him from sleeping during the night. Let me intercede for him." And they will be allowed to intercede. I find it quite funny. Allah is allowing his own attribute to do something. He's speaking, his own attribute is speaking to him. The eternal Quran, the uncreated Quran is speaking to him. But be that as it may, let's get back to the point. Now, this creates a huge problem, okay? Because now we have highlighted the fact that this pale man will enter creation and it will be separate from Allah. Okay? But Muslims say that Allah's words do not change. His essence do not change. But as you see, it comes in the form of a pale man. And they say that only Allah knows what those 3 letters mean. Okay? But they can no longer say that because now we have evidence that if the Quran is the infinite wisdom of Allah, then that means this pale man, this pale Quran will also know the meaning of those 3 letters. Boom, shakalaka laka. That's a bomb. That's a mega bomb. So now the Muslims can no longer say that those 3 mystery letters is only known by Allah, because the Quran will turn into a man. So now you have creation. Creation. Man will also know the mystery of the 3 letters written in the Quran. Because the Quran is what? What again? Infinite wisdom. And it's the eternal speech of Allah. So now this pale man will know the answer to those 3 mystery letters. But it gets worse, people, because it's something else that the Muslims say. On top of them saying that that Allah does not change, it's something else that they tell us, everybody. What is that, everyone? They say that there is nothing in creation like Allah. But this hadith, in conjunction with the hadith about the Quran turning into a pale man, it destroys all of that. Because now, if you have a pale man in creation who was once the Quran, and now it has transformed into a pale man, guess what that means? That means there will be something in creation like Allah. And that thing will have the perfect eternal speech and infinite wisdom just like Allah. Boom, shakalaka laka. So they can no longer say that there is nothing like Allah in creation. Don't the Muslims always tell us that? They say nothing in creation can compare to Allah. They say your sight is not like Allah's sight. Your hearing is not like Allah's hearing. Nothing you do is compared to Allah. No longer can they say that, because this Quran will turn into a man. It will enter into creation, and it will have what? Perfect speech, just like Allah. But hold up, everybody. It gets worse. It gets worse. Now, Muslims say, like we already stated, that the Quran is the eternal speech of Allah. Now, since that is the case, if Allah's Quran, since it's transforming into a man, and it will enter into creation, and Muslims say that Allah and his attributes are separate and same at the same time. And then they will say that his attributes is his essence. It's a part of his essence. Now we have a problem, because if the Quran is the eternal speech of Allah, and as we see, it's communicating with Allah, that's Allah speaking to himself. But it's really its own identity, because it said, let me. As you see, let me intercede. And the Quran will say, it's saying, even the Quran says, let me. So as you see, the Quran has personified itself as separate. So since the Quran is the eternal speech of Allah, and it refers to itself as me, that means that Allah will be left speechless. He will be left mute, on silent. Do everybody understand what I'm saying? I know I'm explaining this very slow. It may be irritating. I'm doing this on purpose because I don't want to talk too fast. I want this to sink in deep inside of the crevices of your brain. Allah will be left speechless, because if the Quran, like Muslims say, is his eternal speech, his infinite wisdom, and all of that, and all of the above, once the Quran take on this pale man, And as we already showed you, it said, let me. That means Allah will be left without speech. So the new Allah, the new God in Islam will be this pale man. And if Muslims want to deny this, then they have to show us, where does it say that Allah has more than one eternal speech? He only got one eternal speech. Because they say he is one. Don't they always say he's one? So if he is one, that means he has one eternal speech. He's one. They always brag about him being one. They even hold up that one finger, meaning one. Tawheed. Unification. One. That's what they say. He is one. Made up of all of these different essences and attributes. And when they speak of his attributes, he has one eternal speech. Okay? So this one eternal speech of Allah is going to transform into a pale man, take on his own identity, will come to earth. So that means Allah will be left without nothing. All of his infinite wisdom will be snatched away from him. He will be speechless. He will be basically paralyzed. Like I said in the other video, go watch the video titled Allah is Paralyzed, which destroys the Muslim claim that Allah does not enter into creation. Go watch that video to get a full understanding of what I mean. So you can apply what I just said to add to that video, Allah is paralyzed. So because this pale man will take on his own identity, that means it becomes the speech of Allah. Because as you see, it's the Quran. So it will take on its own identity, basically severing ties with Allah. So really, the Quran is kind of funny when you think about this. The Quran basically abandoned Allah. Allah's eternal speech basically abandoned him. It tricked Allah. When it said, let me intercede, look, let me intercede for him. And the Quran will say, I kept him from sleeping during the night. Let me intercede for him. So as you see, this Quran, it hijacked Allah. Give me that Allah. Give me that eternal speech. Give me that infinite wisdom. It tricked Allah. But it's not over with, Abduls. It gets worse. Here's the next bomb. Because this Quran is going to intercede. You know what I just thought, everyone? I believe this Quran is actually playing Taqiyya on Allah, giving him some of his own medicine. This Quran is actually using Taqiyya on Allah, giving him a taste of his own medicine. Because what does the real God say? Our God, Yahweh. It says you reap what you sow. We know that Allah is Satan. So this is Allah reaping what he sowed. He sowed bad seeds. And in return, Satan gave Muhammad this book. So even in his false book, God made it so that Muhammad would mess up and make up stupid contradictions that makes his word come true, that you reap what you sow. Because Muhammad, he taught that it's okay to lie to people. He taught that it's okay to do taqiyya, lie and use deception. Now that Satan, that he trusted, is making a fool out of him. So in his very book, in his very Quran, the Quran, as you see, is practicing taqiyya on Allah. And look, it gets worse. Check this out. This pale man is the one, this pale Quran is the one that will be interceding for the Muslims. So that means because it took on its own identity and because it will be the one interceding, that means Muslims cannot say they are saved by the grace of Allah. They cannot say they are saved by the mercy of Allah, because once this Quran took on another identity and became its own personal identity, when it said me, when it was speaking to Allah. Let me give you an example real quick. If somebody came to your front door and they knocked on the door and they said, "Let me in," and you say, "Who are you?" and the person said, it's me, Henry." As soon as they say me, they identify themselves as a person that you know. And when somebody say me or mine, they are taking personal ownership of their self, separate from anyone else. So as you see, when this hadith says, the Quran will say, "I will keep him from sleeping during the night. Let me intercede for him, and they will be allowed to intercede." So as you see, Muslims, it's not Allah's mercy that's saving you. Man, this can get so deep. I'm going to have to do a part 3 because this video is getting very long. So when Muslims say that we saved by the mercy, it's up to Allah's mercy to save you. Allah's mercy, the most merciful, is not his mercy. On the day of resurrection, it won't be Allah's mercy. As you see, it will be this Quran that will be interceding, not Allah. And I challenge any Muslim to say I'm wrong, because it's clear as day what it says. It won't be Allah interceding. It will be this personal identity Quran. So it won't be Allah. So as you see, and we're not done. More problems. Muslims say that Allah is all powerful. But they can't say that anymore, because now, since you got this pale Quran, this pale man Quran, that personalized itself as me, it also has perfect speech. So now Muslims cannot say Mohammedans. We should say Mohammedans because they follow Muhammad. The Mohammedan cannot say that Allah is all powerful, because all powerful mean you don't have anything to contest the powers that you have, and there is none equal to your power. That's why you got the title all powerful, meaning in every category, I am all of that. But now they cannot brag about Allah being all powerful, because now you have a all powerful eternal speech pale man Quran who matches the all knowing speech and infinite knowledge and wisdom of Allah. So this is huge problems. So now the Muslims got to say to themselves, which one is God now? Which one is God? Because this Quran is uncreated. It doesn't need Allah to sustain its life, because the Quran is uncreated. The Muslim will tell you Allah's words cannot be destroyed. So Allah can't do anything to this Quran. Allah can't do anything to it. To this pale man Quran, he can't destroy it because his words can't be destroyed. He can't, he didn't create it because it's uncreated. And on top of that, He can't even say be anymore. He can't, you know how Muslims say, Allah, only thing he has to do is say be, and whatever he says be about, it just comes to pass. But he don't even got no speech no more. Because this Quran, it hijacked his speech. So he don't even got no divine speech. He don't even got no infinite wisdom anymore. So now, as it stands, Allah is just paralyzed. He's paralyzed. He has no infinite speech, no infinite wisdom, because this pale man, Taqiyya, Quran, it hijacked everything from Allah. So now Allah is without any power. Man, this is bad news. This is bad news bears for the Muslims. How are they going to get out of this? How are they going to get out of this? I mean, so now the Muslims are at a crossroads. Which God is the real God of Islam? Is it A, the Allah that got hijacked? Or is it B, the pale man Quran? You all let me know in the comment section below. And with that, this is Brother Jacob signing out. And this is the False Prophet channel, where we get Islam busted and the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, destroyed on a regular basis. Like, share, and subscribe. And like always, God bless each and every one of you. And until we do this again, shalom. And this is Brother Jacob signing out.